Hello and welcome to Cinema Express. My name is Ram Venkat Srikar. Today we have with us filmmaker Rahul Sankrityan to talk about his film Shyam Singha. Hello Rahul.
Hi, Ram.
Have you been seeing all the responses to the film online?
Yeah, actually, it's quite entertaining. It's good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
My first question would be: your Twitter bio says a visual storyteller. Tell me,
Right.
tell me what's your understanding of that term?
I actually thought of when I was building this profile, like I was stuck there. What to keep? What's my profession? What am I? So
Okay.
Twitter, I use it mostly for my career purpose. Like I follow film people. I use that platform to tell like my updates or whatever. So I
Hmm.
wanted to keep my profession kind of a thing. So I wanted to keep a filmmaker, but I felt like film is no longer in use. Why am I calling it a film? So
Oh,
what a maker? What do you mean by a maker? So I'm not just like some product making guy. So I can't myself call myself a maker.
hmm.
So I was stuck there actually, what to call myself. So then I tried to see what is a cinema. Cinema is a story told visually with the help of audio, with the help of
Okay.
sound. So that's when I felt like okay, visual storyteller is probably the right thing for me to call myself a director.
You wrote your first film. You wrote and directed at the end. The second film, Taxiwalla, you wrote the story while Sai Reddy wrote the script and dialogues. Now, third film, Satyajit Saran, he came up with the core storyline, and you're credited with Kadabi Vriddhi, means you developed the story further. Are you a guy more inclined towards direction over writing, or how does that happen?
To me, I see myself more as a good director and a bad writer. Writing
Okay.
is a complex process for me than directing. Directing comes very naturally. I feel it, but writing I have to put efforts. I'm talking about myself. That's my thing. But I enjoy both. I enjoy writing, directing both. But just that writing is a very complex process than directing.
Okay. Now that you have said that writing is a complex process, coming to Shyam Singha, what were your inputs to the script? What changes did you do? What did you add to it? What did you remove from it? Because you
So
developed it, right? Yeah.
yeah, initially when Satyadev Jenga gave me the core story of it, it
Hmm.
was the reincarnation part. Everything was there. That a filmmaker goes into a case and he digs into his past life where these characters called Sham and Rosie was there.
Hmm.
But Sham was a coward. Sham was a
Oh,
he's been
okay.
ill-treated by his brothers and family. He runs away from his village. He meets another girl, a working class woman from another village called Rosie. That's how the
Okay.
story was initially when
Hmm.
it comes to me.
Hmm.
I really like the part of going into Bengal and all about a writer. These are the elements that really excited me when I first decided to work on this story. So
Hmm.
once I take it off, like I added this communist element to it. I wanted my 70s man should be a little more macho, a little more integrity person with ethics and morals, an ideal man.
Yeah.
And also a woman, I wanted to show more of a feminine angle to her and also a damsel in distress. And I wanted a classical dancer. So when a classical dancer idea came in, like I built a story around a temple. When the temple and dancer came in, I got the line of Devadasi. Okay, no one has discussed much about Devadasi
So
system also.
Devadasi practice, that element wasn't in the script that you were provided with, in the
I
story
was
that you
provided
have.
with a basic story, not script actually.
Yeah, story. That
Yeah,
element wasn't there in the story.
no,
Okay,
that was not
okay,
there.
okay.
So, and later the short film part, the how to balance these two lives, I've introduced that element of short film into the screenplay, such
Hmm.
that there is a connectivity, logical connectivity to that, and also the ending part, like how she waits and all that portion, like I have developed in my drafts.
Okay. How long did it take?
It took me almost 8 months actually.
Wow,
Yeah, luckily
wow.
I got this COVID because of the first COVID. Like I got the time,
Hmm.
good enough time for me to work on the script actually. Yeah.
Okay. Now that you also told that imbibing that communist elements was your idea, so I'm really fascinated by it. I'm really fascinated by it because there are a lot of things in the film. For instance, there is a lot of dialogue, conversation about art and literature in the film, right? For instance,
Mhm.
he sees her while she's performing dance. Their first interactions happens due to that bell, and that kind of becomes a closure for their relationship as well, right? Sham
Mm.
even says at one point that సాహిత్యం ఒకటే సమాజాన్ని మార్చగలుగుతుంది. And yeah, and in fact, when Rosie expresses self-doubt that whether the society will accept her, Sham tells that you are a dancer, you are a great dancer, you have dance to encourage you, you have dance to empower you. So
Correct.
these things tell me, where do these things come from? And are you someone who firmly believes that films can change the society?
Films can change the society. Just that I wanted to discuss my two characters. Lead characters should be completely opposites. One is very progressive guy who believes in a equal world. He is my protagonist, and the woman, his love interest, is someone who is a damsel in distress, who should be suffering, and she should not have knowledge of I'm being exploited. She was brought up like that, and she's just living that life. What if? And also subconsciously, if you see, writer society is one aspect, and social evil problems in the society is another aspect. These two, my Sham and Rosie characters represents these two ideologies, that a literature or that knowledge about the humanity and all
Right.
that literally change. Like the light, I literally was calling Sham as day and Rosie as night. A sun rises and night subsides.
Yeah.
That's kind of, you light up your own darkness, and that's how I used Rosie and Sham characters. That was my idea about these two characters. So I wanted to give one progressive guy light to one social evil practice. That was the idea behind these two characters. And coming to do cinema, the cinema has the power to change the society. Definitely,
Or
like,
literature,
because
or literature as well, like Sham says.
definitely, definitely, it's like I talk to you. If I make sense to you, you will change. You will take some positive from me, or I'll take some positive from you. But cinema and literature, art has a wider reach. It can talk to millions of people at once. So it's like same. It's one entity can talk to so many people. So that is the power of it. Yeah, I believe so.
Wonderful. Now that you said that, you use them as day and night. That I had a follow-up question, because there are a lot of shots where Sham is in broad daylight, whereas Maitri Rosie is mostly constricted
Nice.
to night. So
Correct.
that was a good touch. Tell me about the cinematography. Did you guys do storyboarding? Because Vasu does that a lot. So what about you guys? You did a lot
I
of
did storyboarding for entire second half. Actually, I didn't do it for the first half, but the entire periodic portion, I've done the storyboarding, like a huge one for almost all the scenes. But I've never followed it. That's a different story. But I've
Tell
done
me
it.
why couldn't you follow it? Was it because of the logistical issues?
Yeah, actually, like when you storyboard, that was a time when there were no sets, there were no locations, there were no many other things were not there. It was pure imagination. But by the time I couldn't get exactly the locations that I wanted, so I have to compromise with some other locations. So suddenly this storyboarding won't work. I have to divide my shots according to that location, according to that things. And also that many other things change in the process. Actually, I didn't exactly get what I wanted in the storyboarding. It didn't turn out like that. But I felt like my process of making is mostly happens while making it, rather than sticking to this is my shot. My shot can change at the moment. So that's a learning for me. Storyboarding is not always a great thing. It's over. Yeah.
Okay. You're the first filmmaker to say that, because I was talking to a cinematographer recently, and he said going onto the sets without storyboarding can lead to major mess ups.
No, actually, he's right. He was right, because once you go with the storyboarding into it, like, you can change it. You don't have to follow it as is. But once you have done that breakdown, everyone will have a picture of how many shots are there. Okay, what exactly is expected out of this scene or expected out of today's schedule. That's give a clarity. You can always break it, but doing something like that will put everyone on a same page. That is definitely a helpful thing. So yeah, he was right.
Okay. Now, this is a film. This is a massive film, right? This is a grand film. Tell me about all that went into the pre-production, because Avinash Kulla, I think he did a fantastic job with creating, with recreating that era, and your costume designer Nirja Kona, it's all in sync. It looks like, there is this liberally used term called a phrase called every frame a painting, that fits perfectly to the second half of Shyam Singha Roy. Tell me about what went into the pre-production. What were your references?
So ideally, I've divided my second half into two portions. One is in the village portion, another is the Calcutta portion.
Hmm.
So most of the village portion happens in the nights and also in the temple. So my reference to my team was Rembrandt paintings, and also some images of the temple deepam with from ages together. If you keep letting it, the oil will with all that oil and all this burnt cotton things and all, it's one certain sense of lighting to it, that it's the certain sense of color to it with all that. So that was the discussion I made with my team. So this is will go into like this. Sanu is a genius and immediately got it. Like he also suggested like I will go more like that kind of a dogs, earthy tones and all that. That Antarmal sequence, and he got his own plan because he was also suggesting, like at that time, even the production designer Avinash was suggesting. At that time, there were my production designer put me one question: are you seeing electricity in the village or not? Because in the 70s there was electricity, but most of the villages doesn't have. So I said, like, let's go without electricity. So the entire thing became so beautiful because we used fire as a light source. That was a motivation. So Sanu created every light looks like fire. It was actually not fire, that we didn't light it with fire, but he made it look so real that you are watching something that is lit up by fire. So that was one thing for the village we have followed. And also the palette was decided, the costumes were made within that, and also the fabrics that were used were exactly almost authentically correct, because the Bengali cotton and everything was taken care. Neeraja did fabulous job, even with the ornaments, the color of the ornaments. I was also very keen on the color of the ornaments. Like I want that ancient temple jewelry, not pure gold, not glittery gold, not any other emeralds and all. So we had a lot of look tests for Sai Pallavi, for Devadasis, all that we have done. We have done a lot of research, and I mean, like a lot of pre-production has been done. So that helped. And coming to the Calcutta portion, Sanu referred. I asked him, like, because there is so many periodic films happen, like so many pre-independent film happens in India and outside the world. So there is nothing much from my end to tell him, like, okay, I want like this. I have no idea. I said, like, let's go like a nice vintage film. Sanu came up with, I'm going to treat it like this. He gave references like Evita film and all. So we'll treat it a bit like this. I really couldn't see the difference between Evita and other period films, but he could see. There are so many other shades in between. So he is a master in that. So he took that call about the entire Calcutta color tone. But the production design, luckily, Bengal played a major role. I mean, the Kolkata played a major role in bringing up that old feel, because even today the city looks like that. Half of the city looks like that.
A lot of heritage.
So most of the locations we chose were adding so much of reality to that, adding time to that, to each frame. On top of that, Avinash did major work, adding up all those props, making sure everything. Our only aim was, like, even if anyone pauses a frame and tries to find a fault in production design, he shouldn't get it. And I think we have reached it almost, like one or two, apart from one or two mistakes, I guess. Yeah.
What are the mistakes? I didn't like, probably usage of a green screen.
No, not like that. No, there are one or two continuity mistakes that a few people identified, which I didn't check back, but it would happen. Yeah.
Okay.
Apart from that, nothing was there.
Okay, cool. Now let's talk about your writing process. Obviously, the film is named Shyam Singha Roy, and it shows how much you love these two characters, both Shyam and Rosie. It shows in every frame. But were you never, what do you call, or did you have any second thoughts about feeling that probably Vasu is gonna get sidelined, because the entire first half basically serves as a lead up towards the second half, right? The second half is where the actual meat is. So did you feel that? Did you have any second thoughts that after watching Shyam Singha Roy, probably Vasu is gonna look like a lighter version of him, and people might not be as excited as they were about Shyam Singha Roy. They might not be as invested in Vasu. Were these running in your head while writing?
Totally. Actually, in the initial draft, there was little extension to Vasu. After the what we have seen the last scene of the film right now, Vasu
Hmm.
again restarts the whole trust. Vasu again takes over the entire property, and
Wow.
he rebuilds the trust, and he'll make sure all the women who have gone to Sonagachi, he'll bring them back in whatever
Wow.
the stages they are in. So
Hmm.
that ends up with Sai Pallavi's friend. There is one friend,
Yeah. Yeah.
Devadasi friend to her. She
Hmm.
comes back. She receives the envelope from the SR Trust again. That's where the film ends. Actually,
Okay.
we have shot it also. We have removed it in the edit. I'm now just releasing those deleted scenes, but I felt like the core story. I felt like I don't want to bore them with it. Once we watched the first edit, we felt like the real heart lies in the story of Sham and Rosie. Once
Hmm.
they unite, I felt like there is nothing much to say. Audience will not be interested in what happens to Vasu, what happens to Kirti, what happens to the trust, what happens. No, I want to end it like a love story, not more than a social story or something. I know it's kind of illogical. I mean, like it's not the perfect way, but I
Kind
felt
of incomplete. You can.
incomplete. Yeah, I felt like that the incompleteness is what is required. I felt like it's understood. He could have done anything. It's easily. I don't have to take a screen time for it. Is what I felt.
Okay. Okay.
That's where I wanted to end. Like, okay, let it be incomplete. I felt like my core emotion is satisfied, and I don't want to extend screen time there.
How long was those portions?
Probably it was simple. It was conveyed simply. Like probably it's another six minutes or something. That's it. It's a
Wow.
shorter version. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, you take up this concept called Devadasi, and I was really excited about the film when it was revealed that this film is going to explore that area. And I did some reading on these topics, and to be honest, they are not really pleasant topics, right? There's a lot of adultery, there is sex, there's prostitution, there are some sacrifices, violence. Now, but the film it's very palatable. But the film it's very light-hearted, it's very easily digestible. Thankfully, because even after watching the trailer, I had my doubts that probably this film will be disturbing in a sense because the subject matter itself is it's unpleasant. Tell me, was there at any point during your research or during your writing process you thought, okay, let me go full blown, full throttle on this. I'm gonna make a hard hitting version of this. Was that ever a thought? Considering, yeah.
I'm already getting a lot of heat for what I've shown.
Oh, for this?
People are already calling me. I'm that and this.
For the
I'm
violent
propaganda
scene,
or whatever,
for that
whatever.
scene
Yeah.
where for that
Yeah.
scene where the priest hits her. Okay. Hmm.
Correct. So I don't want to do more than this. I felt like this is see you can't bring too much of anything or suddenly to the public.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you treat just treat the society or just treat the audience like your friend or your brother. Would you like to bombard him with harsh reality at once?
Okay.
You will be sensible enough to tell them like, okay, you know what happened, it was like this. Oh, little more, a little more, a little more. That's how you can take. Don't try to show all your whatever your understanding about the society or anything too much. That's what I felt like. I like my audience so much. I don't want to shake them up too much. I want them to digest it. I want the whole idea of telling something should not die at the very uh, beginning stages.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
This is something Quentin Tarantino once said. In
Oh,
his film Django Unchained, it has a scene where a black man is hunted down by dogs. You must have seen the film, right? In the film,
right.
it's pretty it's shorter, but they had a much elaborate scene. But Tarantino decided to not go with that because he didn't want to disturb the audience. He wanted the audience to enjoy the film even after that scene. So
Correct.
yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. At the end of the day, it has to work for people. It is at the end of the day commerce,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct.
So now tell me about this thing. This uh, Sirivenala song. It's basically poetry. It's beautiful, and there are a lot of moments where you draw parallels between both these characters, right? For instance, he's pouring ink, and that shot cuts to her pouring oil, and there is this beautiful shot of 5 or 6 boats forming the shape of a flower, and it cuts to Rosie taking a flower in her hand. Was this all written? Was this all
Yeah,
written
they
on
were
this?
no,
Wow.
actually, they were added in the process of when I visited Bengal and the villages. We were
Hmm.
discussing about this song shoot and all. Actually, my CG supervisor suggested. I think because in reality we didn't find any beautiful visual or anything, to show, because we are talking about 50 years back and we have to bring some visual beauty to it. So my
Hmm.
CG supervisor suggested, why can't we build something beautiful in the CG also? So that
Hmm.
boat shot is something we are inspired from some Bangladesh photographs and all, where the
Okay.
boats were tied up like that. But instead of all tying all, we have tied 4 boats and rest of the boats created in graphics. And
Okay.
my supervisor, that was my idea of supervisor. This is a beautiful song, or this is a beautiful situation. Let's
Hmm.
bring some visual beauty to it. So let's add something to it. That's when I started thinking, like, how can I make it more interesting? That's when this match cuts concept have
Okay.
come into the picture. This
Okay.
was much in the process of making the film.
Now, let me go back to Taxiwalla once again. So, I remember watching Taxiwalla, and I like that film. I like that film quite a bit. I think it's really funny, especially the
Yeah,
scenes where Vijay and his friends they break into a hospital to steal a dead body. I think those scenes were hilarious. I
mm.
don't know why that film doesn't get talked about as much as other films, but I really love that film. So after watching that film, I liked the film. I came out, but once I started thinking about that film, thinking about the ending of that film where Sisira's soul goes into the baby, I was thinking this girl is going to have a messed up childhood or messed up life ahead. So
Yeah.
it's logic. It's a logic, right? Like it is something that runs behind your head. So similar with Shyam Singha Roy as well, right? If you think about it, if you start dwelling into it, there are a lot of things that one can come up with. So tell me, are you someone who believes in having logically tight scripts that nobody can nitpick, or are you someone who goes with the emotional value of the film or the scenes?
No, I'll go with emotional value of it, but I see logic in emotional value. When I'm emotionally satisfied, it also logically satisfies me. Otherwise, it won't fit into your head. Either you should be logically satisfied and you should not question it anymore, or you should be emotionally satisfied and you should not see the need to question it.
Right.
If these two things doesn't work, like I can't move forward. I see emotions replaces logic, and also emotion is a, you know if you are
Hmm.
emotionally satisfied, logic is satisfied. That's what I feel.
Okay. Okay. So now my next question will be a little touchy.
Hmm.
Warning in before. So
Okay.
this has to be addressed because this has also been in conversation quite a bit online, right? The age gap between Krithi Shetty and Nani, the real life age gap between them. Okay.
Okay.
And there is also an intimate scene between them, and there is a reason why that scene exists. Now, there is something called there is a role called intimacy coordinator with Gehraiya, that's the upcoming film. Gehraiya, they had an intimacy coordinator. So did you guys, to make sure that the atmosphere on the set obviously the sets are professional. It is a working environment where there are 100 people. But still, did you guys employ somebody like that to take care of the situation? How did that happen?
I was totally aware of that. So I
Hmm.
played myself as the intimacy coordinator on the sets.
Okay.
I literally played that because why I'm saying is that I made sure I have edited one video. I've shown it to Krithi, her mom, and even to Nani Garu and everyone.
Hmm.
Exactly, this is exactly what I'm going to shoot.
Okay.
I know and everything, and they mentioned about their objections, both parties. So I've
Okay.
removed those things and I've recomposed, I re-edited, and I've shown. And on the day and my day before, I explained them how am I going to shoot, what will be the lighting and all that stuff. How is it going to come out in the movie with the music and all, and
Hmm.
everything I mentioned. I asked for them to take the necessary precautions to come on sets. I mean, like wardrobe wise, whatever, and all that I discussed very clearly with my costume designer and make
Hmm.
sure she's psychologically good for the scene and all everything.
Hmm.
And when she
Hmm.
comes there also, I made sure she's comfortable for every shot. Like I asked, like she requested me to send the crowd off. I did.
Okay.
We didn't even, there was not even this audio guys to record the scene, even for the
Okay.
dialogues and all. So we took care of that, and even after that I checked, are you fine, everything is good. And it's a very basic simple thing, because that intimacy coordinator thing, I played that role myself on the sets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know that. So what would you call was the most challenging part of Shyam Singha? Was there a particular scene or shot that was particularly difficult to get? Because it's all about you, like you said in the starting, it was all in your head, right? So tell me about what was the most challenging scene or shot?
Most challenging thing was climax. The climax scene we shot, because of the thing is, like I've decided one place in the middle of the river when I did my recce. But once I landed there right before the shoot, because of the water, it's in the center of the river, all the water changed, and the location I've selected is no more there. It's under the water. So I had to adapt to the new location, whatever is available there, which kind of was tough for me. That it done right with that. And next day, also that scene, I wanted it to be at twilight, but my DOP suggested we don't have, by time wise, we don't have, by schedule wise, we don't have the liberty to use the sunset there. I want the background to be one thing, and sunset is not there. It's giving sunrise. So my DOP shot it like a sun. He used sunrise as sunset.
Okay.
So for that, we had to shoot the entire scene in reverse, because the sun direction is going in opposite direction, like how we want.
Okay.
We had to shoot. So the very first scene is the last shot of the film.
The fingers.
Correct. Also, that is the first scene, very first shot, very first scene that was shot in the film of Pallavi's. Pallavi just joined the shoot.
Wow.
The very first shot of Pallavi is the very last shot of the film.
Okay.
So that too with a prosthetic makeup on her. This is the first time she's doing the prosthetics, and she did rehearsal and all, but she started like at 2 a.m. in the morning, and because of the sun and all, like it started burning on her skin. There was some cuts inside and all. That was tough. And shooting it in reverse, matching it with the light and everything. And it's such an emotional scene. Everyone had to be in that mood and, maintain that emotion in reverse. That's a very, if not with great actors like Nani and Pallavi, that scene would have been what it is today, definitely. They really understood the thing, and also Sanu with his thing, and people. That was most challenging for me.
Okay.
Yeah,
wow.
And I'm very proud of that scene. Yeah.
Well, very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. So there is one more question that I wanted to ask. One of the criticism the film received was the low stakes of it. Like there is to be frank, there is no villain in the film, right? There is no villain in the film. There is that evil priest, but he gets his vengeance. Like he's taught the lesson. He gets it. He learns the lesson. The brothers who kill Shyam, they die in an accident. So there isn't much of a conflict here, and the actual conflict is Vasu proving to the world that he is Shyam, and that all those ideas were his, and he had to clean the image that the plagiarism claim that he had on him. That was the conflict. That was the conflict of the film, but it kind of looks like it doesn't look like a huge conflict. At least from my point, I felt that, because when you start the film, right, the whole short film process, it is told in a very joyful, light way, that whole filmmaking thing, that by the time when you take this guy seriously as a filmmaker, it did not feel like a huge conflict, at least for me. And there are people, few others have also felt. Did you realize that, or did you have a different idea, or did you interpret it differently?
I felt like, do we really need a strong conflict for every story?
Okay.
We are while watching a film, we are there to sit and watch a story. Why do we need a strong conflict? Why are we so inclined towards a conflict all the time? Just telling you a story about a guy who has few things like who fell into this case and all. Like, okay, he's getting some past life memories, and we are going into past life. If you go into the past life also, it's not like oh, what happens next? It's never about what happens next. It's just about, wow, look at that guy, look at this woman, look at that period, the music, Just experience the all crafts of the cinema, experience the music, the color, the audio, the visual, the paintings and everything, all the crafts, the beautiful poetry. Just feel there, take a boat ride, come home, hear to the temple bells. We haven't seen that in a long time. Just look at the classical dance, the Hindustani music, all these things. Look at the beauty of the books, the sepia tone, all that. This is what my initial intention was, not to excite you with like what happens next, not to play a screenplay thing or any that thing. This was my intention. So I actually that's why I took a liberty and played the arrest scene for the war. So actually no one will arrest for a copyright act. Actually,
I get that it was highly dramatized, especially arresting him in the press meet. Yeah.
Correct. I know it's a very weaker conflict in the film. That's for sure. But I felt like that is not my USP. I'm not going by my conflict and resolution that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Probably because we are inured to watching a lot of Telugu masala films. In an ideal, had it been this typical Telugu masala film, we would have Jishu Sen Gupta fight with Nani in the end. That would have actually happened had it been a different film. Two more questions. One question is, this is again purely, I want to understand your creative choice behind this. The first half is 1 hour, the second half is 1.5 hours. Generally, what would I was expecting, because I didn't have any problem because I was watching it on Netflix. So the general idea would be to introduce a character. I'm talking about the way things are done in Telugu films. If we go to a flashback, either it is after the interval. After the interval, we go to the flashback and start things on a high, like say Indra or something like that. Or either say something, okay, I'm not able to think of something, but the idea would be you introduce the character before the interval, create a high point in the flashback and give the interval, end the first half with a high. But you introduced Shyam, interval, and in the second half you take the audience into a completely different world. Was it done because you didn't want to interrupt the audience once they get into the second half, once they get to the Bengal era?
Yeah. So see, I just wanted, like, once this the history, the period portion begins, I want you to not disturb, like just stay in that. I don't want you to get connected with your reality of checking your messages, going out and thinking about the popcorn price. No. Once you go into that period portion, stay there, stay in the temple, go to the Calcutta, see that and come out, like completely you stay in that world. So I don't want an interval to disturb this thing. So I don't want you to actually, that's a great thing, having an interval, such that I for this film particularly, I felt like, oh nice, I can place the interval here such that I can nicely tell this 1.5 hour. You can watch it. So everybody's feeling actually now the only second half itself could be a film. And many people are going to the theater just to watch the second half. First half theaters are empty, second half the theaters are filling. I saw that in the theaters happening. Wow. So I felt like I use the interval that way. It kind of helped me. Yeah.
That's nice because I would have expected any other filmmaker to end the first half after Shyam throws the Dalit man in the well. So because that is a high point, right? Probably other filmmaker, I don't know, I'm just hypothetically saying, because that's the high point, that's the first high point we get in the flashback. Yeah. So cool. So now again, another question. We wanted more of Shyam, to be honest. We wanted more of Shyam. I feel I could have seen a whole film just with Shyam Singha, right?
Oh, that's
it's
a great compliment. Yeah.
So I'm sure like a lot of people would have
yeah. This, right? So many mentioned like they're missing Shyam like anything.
So I know. So was this something that you anticipated? Did you anticipate
this? Actually not. I thought they'll enjoy the story or other elements and all, but I never thought they'll take these characters so with them. So many people I'm seeing, I'm getting so many messages that they are kind of missing this. That in turn telling me that people are kind of they are in dearth of art, they are in dearth of poetry, they are in dearth of integrity in a man or a woman. Something is missing. Hypocrisy took us over, and kind of they're missing the beauty of living. So I felt like, that motivates me to do more of this kind of cinema. Not exactly the same thing, but some real writing, some real aesthetically good and traditionally strong kind of a film. Yeah.
To be honest, like I said again, I would have loved to see a whole film just with that set in the Bengal era. Probably his love story in the first half and his rise as a writer in the second half. That
No,
would have been great
actually,
as
if
well.
it is remade into any other language, that's my
That's
plan. I'm
how.
just sitting. Yeah, I'm sitting with my team, and we already thought of that. Actually, we should have done the entire Shyam and Rosie story as the actual story, as a full film. Yeah, actually, I have different ideas to it. Like there is more to what happened before Rosie come into Bengal.
Sure.
There is a scene in the Bangladesh which was written in the first draft, and
Oh.
there is a little premise to the father story of Shyam Singha, who is who fought for the British against British and all. So I can use those elements and all. Yeah.
Do a prequel series. Write a prequel series.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get to the more fun part. I'll show you my favorite shots from the film, and you tell me how they were conceived or how they were written, what happened on the set, were they planned, or like Orson Welles said in his documentary that all great films are resultants of accidents. So you tell me what happened with these shots. I'll share my screen and show you this shot, his first connection with his past.
Correct.
And the image of Kalima behind that. Tell me about this.
See, the whole idea of Kali, that came from the idea of the Bengal. So the very first thing that strikes in our head when it's about Bengal is Kali and Navaratris. So I wanted that to be the very first connecting element between these two lives. And also when I'm talking about reincarnation, there should be some larger than life element that make it believable. So I want to I believe that he's also reincarnated with the some supreme power. Otherwise it's not possible for him.
Right.
So, and also I want to strike it very visually. Look at that background, like it's so ferocious.
Yeah, even the saris on his left, it's colorful,
right.
and the right, it's a lovely frame. Second
that saris are, as you said, it's an accident.
Accident?
I mean, like that was not part of the plan.
So Rahul, as a director, do you have control on everything that goes into a frame?
Control is like, it depends on the time actually. If you're given half an hour or 1 or 2 hours for each shot, no, you will have control over everything. But when you're chasing time, you just have to be prompt, and you should take quick decisions and move on. If I sit now and ask me if I can do it better, I definitely can do it better.
Okay.
But at that moment, I just have to go with what comes there. And yeah.
Okay. This shot, it's a very Bansali shot.
Yeah, this entire Antar Mahal is my favorite. That I was so in love with this place actually. Even after the film, even after the release, I visited the set and I just stayed there in Antar Mahal for a while because the vibe is so good. I should praise Avinash to bring life into this. That place is really so healing for me. I don't know. It's such a beautiful erected set. That's everything is a set. It's built here. And the beauty is coming through the lighting also. Look at the reflection of the pillars and all. I told my director, like, all those pillars should reflect light. So he made sure of that. So that gives a nice tone feel to us. And also that kind of gives you the feel of they are behind the bars. They are being shelved and they are in a jail.
Right.
That is the idea to those strong pillars and all.
Also, this happens after a kind of disturbing scene where the priest comes and takes the woman. So the frame kind of looks peaceful, but it's not really peaceful. So that it communicates that.
Exactly. The melancholy of this Devadasis are also like they are so used to this thing from very long time, ever since they were kids and all. So no one are feeling the suffering as a suffering yet. They started living with it. That's the tragedy behind them.
Right. Third shot. This is just beautiful. Is this planned? Like, how can something like this be planned? Is this planned?
Yeah. This is like Sanu. Let's put one like this. He added that little lamp over there. I
Okay.
wanted, and I also wanted a movement inside it, so they cannot put a track for it for the movement. Sanu hand held it for the movement,
Okay.
and Nani just gave that thing. I just wanted him to look straight. He just gave that little attitude to it. All that things.
Lovely. Where were all these portions shot?
It's in Rajahmundry. It was shot in
Achha.
Rajahmundry. Yeah,
Okay.
on the Godavari.
Okay. So you Godavari doubled up as a river in
Ganga.
Ganga.
Actually, yeah.
Very
Actually,
interesting.
their sister. They say like Godavari is also a sister of Ganga,
Oh, okay.
spiritually. Yeah.
This is a very Maniratnam-ish shot again.
Definitely, the inspiration was that the wife and husband is that drama was so beautifully shown by only two guys in India. One is Satyajit and another is Maniratnam. Because the entire penthouse sequence I am inspired from Apur Sansar. If you see,
I
uh,
was I was
yeah,
about to get to that. My next frames were
I,
about that. Tell
I
me.
was so stuck in that. If you see, even the royal press, the name of the press
Hmm.
is same in the Apur Sansar. I use the as the same name. It's like my tribute to that maker and that
Right.
film actually. So I wanted their
Wow.
romance to be like that, their place to be like that, that penthouse to be like that, that textures and their simplicity should be like that. That was my idea.
So my very next frame is something. It segues into what you just said.
Okay.
This man.
He he's a Satyajit Ray actor actually. He acted with
Yeah.
him, worked with him. We were so excited to work with this guy, Tarun Chanda sir. He's such a professional. He added so much of style and the Bengaliness to the film actually.
I saw him as a stand-in for Satyajit Ray only, because the way he looks, especially his specs, and also
Correct.
this is one of my favorite moments in the film because it marks the rise of Shyam and beginning of his rise. And the best part is we don't actually see Shyam. Shyam sees and he walks away, and the camera lingers on this man for a couple of seconds. So I love
Exactly.
this. Love
Yeah.
this shot.
Yeah.
This like we spoke, and the next one is going to be this. Was this written? I would love to know that.
It
This.
was written. It was written in the script. I've written it a little differently. I wanted it with the sun and that reflection on the water, which should match with the line of the sindoor on the forehead. That was my
Oh.
idea, but I couldn't get that exact sun and the reflection. So I removed that reflection and sindoor part. I just added the bindi to sun, just sun part.
But why did you wanted to do it? Is there any reason?
The reason is like, as I said, it's a day and night thing. It's now that sun has become the real husband, the real source of, that so-called
Oh.
she's been married to a stone. Now she's married to a sun kind of person. And she, also it's like a new beginning to her, a new morning, a new life.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
This final shot. I love the usage of these metaphors.
Yeah, this is also actually this is one of my favorite shots in the film. I wanted the entire sound, the entire life, reincarnation, everything is like they say the entire life has emerged from Omkara, the sound ultimately. So it's like I want these bells to unite back with that Muvalu, that Gajalu, such that it can make a full sound together.
Okay.
Even if one bell is missing, the sound is not complete. Now it's complete. It has reached its original sound, is what my idea.
Right. So I have a question. The first scene of the film, it shows a boat, right? It shows
Correct.
a boat. So there's no explanation given. I assume it's Shyam's body or something. I might be wrong. But then we see these two bells
Right.
in that fire. How did they come here? Tell me.
Okay. So the very first scene, actually, that was completely a surreal expression of. That's a very personal expression of me. I
Okay.
felt like a story like this. I need to put one area of interpretation for the people. Just like I don't want to tell what is it. It should not fall into any logic of anything. But in my script, I have written it. A life is a endless river. Sorry, time is an endless river. A boat, a life represents a boat journey in this so-called river called time.
Okay.
And what's inside this boat are those that poetry. Poetry is Shyam, and bells are rosy. So they burn and burn. Their passion burns and burns till a new life emerges out of that. That's what I've written on the script. So I just want, also I wanted to make sure there are all the 5 elements in that frame. There is sky, there is water, there is fire, there is wind, and only the land is land was there, but that was removed in the VFX actually. All that was there in the, so that was because we're talking about a reincarnation. I wanted something like that in the opening of the film. That was the idea.
Wow, that's more than what I interpreted. Lovely.
Right.
The last frame. This.
Yeah, exactly.
This
is exactly that is exactly the reference I've given to my production designer. All the images of Sathyajit Ray's room, the chair, the books. So that's why we exactly got it like that.
Wow.
Yeah, even the chair and everything, I wanted it similar. The costume. I have so many pictures of Sathyajit Ray in my lookbook. I've made one lookbook of around 500 pages and all with all the images. So in that, the Shyam's working room should all the images I've given was Sathyajit Ray's.
Wow.
Yeah.
You really are inspired by Sathyajit Ray.
So much. Yeah.
When did this happen? Like, when did you start exploring his work? And what do you like the most about Sathyajit Ray's work? I want to know.
No, the very first work I've watched about Sathyajit Ray was this short film about 2 kids.
It's called 2, I think, right?
It's called Duel or something. It's called.
I think it's called 2. It's called 2, I think. Yeah.
Correct. So far, I used to hear about this guy. He won Oscar from India and all that. He was some legend and all. I never, when I watched it, the posters and all, I felt they're boring art films. But when I watched this short film, there is a without any word, without any big characters, just with 2 small kids, he communicated a differences between the societies. He communicated in a very different, powerful way. That's when I felt like, man, this guy is genius. Seems like he has I'm missing out on a great work. So that's when I started watching his work. I started with the Pader Panchali. Before that, I read about him. I really liked the process of the Sathyajit Ray. I mean, the journey that he has undergone to make Pader Panchali and the trilogy. So it was so inspiring. All the hardships and he went through. Then I again respect about this filmmaker. And later that, I've watched few interviews, and he was so like such a real filmmaker and all. So I watched this Apu trilogy, and they were literally kind of too long and all, but I kind of felt I have experienced a living experience of something happened in my life, as if a memory is planted in my head, as if I've lived in that village, I've lived with those characters. That's when I felt like, okay, there is certain power to the filmmaking, that can make it believe or present the reality as much as possible, yet without making it sound so boring, making it look so boring. It communicated very powerfully to me.
Lovely. Wow. What's next, Rahul? What's happening?
Right now I'm excited about my next story. That's a time travel based subject, which deals with a very big concept. That's a very interesting project that I'm working on. The story, I'm still working on the story actually.
You're writing,
Writing, yeah.
Okay. So if there is one thing that you could go back and change about Shyam Singha, what would that be?
I want to reshoot entire first half. I'm not satisfied with the first half.
Okay. Entire first half?
Yeah, I'm not proud of first half. First half is still, I have many complaints on first half.
Okay. No problem. You have a great, the second half. So thank you very much, Rahul, for your time. I had a lovely time talking to you, discussing the film. All the best for your next film. I'm looking forward to your next film.
Thank you so much.